What's up, guys? Josh Insing here with Softwash Science. Take two on this one. My phone stopped filming, but we're on location out here in Spring Lake, Michigan. Just did some gutter cleaning. Both of these houses are my customers. But I want to take you in the trailer first, and I want to explain something, and that is downstream injection, okay? You guys that don't know, this right here is a chemical bypass. This kit right here, your chemical would go like where my finger is, your chemical injector in line, and then you turn this valve right here, okay? This is a DN10 ball valve. What this does is it's just a short hose and it directs the water around the chemical injector. So when you hear people say chemical bypass kit, this is a bypass kit. It bypasses your chemical via full flow. It goes around the injector. It doesn't cut off the injector. It just goes around it. So your injector is still wide open, but it doesn't suck any chemical, okay? Here's one right here. This one is the flowpro.solutions one, okay? Right there. So, same principle. Comes out of my machine here. Sorry. Comes out of my machine right there. Goes into here, and here's my chemical injector right here. So you have this short little line that goes here to the three-way valves, okay? And you can either run like this. I have it set up where I can either switch it so it's aimed this way. Obviously it's not on and I rinsed it out. This way will draw water out of my buffer tank, and then the other way will draw soap or my SH mix that's in my downstream pail. So this way, what I do, I hit this remote. So I got this remote here, on and off, and I just hit that and it will trip that thing, and that will talk to this valve right here. So when it talks to that valve, it tells it to open or close. When it opens it, instead of going through my injector, it will go around the injector, okay? So, I don't know if I'm gonna try to edit that other video in because I had a lot more information. But really what I wanna talk to you guys all about, now that we all have a clarification on what that is, and we're gonna jump on the road here, leaving this job, I wanna talk to you about, you know, the different methods of washing, number one, because there's a lot of confusion out there. Let me take my phone off here a minute. So there's so much confusion out there with guys in the soft washing industry about what downstreaming is, and you know, I thought the goal was to soft wash, is what I heard the other day, and that's kind of when I realize, is when somebody tells me that, you know, I'm saying, yeah, you got to downstream. The goal is to soft wash. That's always the goal. That's what we advertise for. Which brings me to my next point is, can you soft wash with a pressure washer? Technically, soft washing is the application of detergent-based products at low pressure with a dedicated pump. So if you want to really get technical, no, you can't. But really the definition amongst the professionals is really, it changed. I mean, if you ask me, the definition of soft washing is new. There's a new definition of it, and I'm going to tell you that, and I'm going to explain that to you, okay? So you have soft washing. To me, soft washing, and to everybody in the industry, should be, is the application of detergents, like a detergent-based cleaning, is the application of cleaners at low pressure, which, when I say low pressure, I mean like 250 to 150 psi. You apply the cleaners, and then you also rinse. And when you rinse, you maintain that pressure. You maintain that 150 to 250 psi, maybe 300 on the high side of things. But you don't really want to go above that. Once you start going above that, it's really too much for for a house in a lot of situations, and honestly, you really don't need it unless you're doing like concrete or something like that. And even then, in a lot of cases, you just don't need that high pressure. You know when you need high pressure is removing gum, concrete cleaning, especially if you're doing oil stain removal and that kind of stuff, graffiti removal. But you don't need it with house washing. Okay, so what you have here is you have this gap in our industry where guys are out there and they're advertising for soft washing, and there's three types of washing, in my opinion. You have power washing, you have hard washing, and you have soft washing. Okay, power washing or pressure washing is either hot or cold water, hot water with pressure washing, but it's using just water, essentially, no chemicals, and basically just using that high pressure and or heat. If you're power washing, and it's relying on the water pressure to do the cleaning. The guys that are out there, and I've seen it advertised, there's a guy in my local area that advertises this. They use hot water on houses. I mean, that's so bad on windows seals. It's not. Home windows aren't designed to take on hot water. I mean, even you wash a house or even wash your vehicle with a hot water pressure washer or even a warm water pressure washer. I got a warm water pressure washer at the shop. If you wash your vehicle with that sucker and it's cold out, you will break the seals on like your headlights and stuff like that, and you'll fog the in-between. Now, those vehicles are much more designed to take that hot water and that temperature change, that drastic temperature change, than a house is. They don't, I mean, when do you have that drastic temperature change that's a split second on a house? You shouldn't, unless somebody comes there and does something wrong, which would be using warm water or hot water. To say you want to use maybe 80 degree, 100 degree water, well, that's one thing, but guys are using 150, 200 degree water on a house. That's not what you want to do. That's not what our industry is here to do, other than special occasions where maybe you got some siding that got some oil on it, which I've known that to happen. You get a hydraulic line that might break, and a contractor that's having a friend of mine. So in that case, so there's always that catch-22. People always say, oh, well, yeah, I know, I get it. I'm just talking in generalities. So it brings me back to that's essentially your power washing. Now let's talk about hard washing. And I say hard washing, and you guys are like, what the hell is that? Hard washing is guys that use, typically they're always downstreaming. It's all the downstreamer guys. And it's guys that they think they're soft washing. I see it all the time. They tell you they're soft washing, and they think they're soft washing, and they'll tell you over and over again it's the same thing. It doesn't hurt the siding. It does. It can. It will. I know. I've done it. I did it. It's not the right way of doing it. And what it is guys are using a low pressure tip. They're using a J-rod, or maybe they're just using regular tips, whatever. But they're using a low pressure tip to apply the cleaner. So they're applying it just like we are, just like all the soft washing guys are. But to turn their chemical off, their soap off, they're relying on high pressure to put enough back pressure through the line to shut off the chemical injector. And then they all claim I just back way up. Well, you're not really providing an adequate rinse then, because it's more or less just like you're just cascading water up there at that point is the problem. Or if you do get close, then you're creating issues because you are using way too much pressure. You're going to disturb oxidation. Just the wind pressure alone is going to blow stuff where you don't want it, and you're not providing the water volume in the big droplets to really rinse the siding thoroughly enough to provide the same perfect product on a lot of houses. Some houses, can you get away with it just being way back and just misting water on it? Yeah, absolutely. If it's you could. But most times you need those bigger water droplets and that volume to be able to provide that rinse, okay? So if you hard wash out there, just admit it. Just say, okay, this is what, I'm a hard washer. That's me. I'm that guy. Because the fact of the matter is it's not the same as soft washing, and it's not as efficient when you have the ability to, just as quickly as you can change your J-rod, you can hit a button, and it's actually faster because you don't even have to come off the trigger. You can hit your button, keep your same tip in there, and keep rinsing. Which brings me to the last one, is soft washing. With a pressure washer, when you use a chemical remote switch that allows you to turn on and off with a remote, you can use your low pressure tips that have the ability to siphon via venturi out of your chemical injector, but then you can use those tips for rinsing, which really gives you that really good water volume that you want. It allows you to advertise and to actually be a soft washer. That's the goal, right? We want to provide the best clean possible, the safest way possible. If there was a better way to soft wash or use a pressure washer to do soft washing, I would just do it that way, like that. That's just, I don't like half-ass stuff. So yeah, that's all I can say, and that's why I try to tell people, if there was a better way, well, then I would just do that. So that's kind of my take on it, and that's part of just trusting my opinion. But you can watch, some of the things I do, watch some of my videos, and I explain both sides of things. And I think I did that here, is really explain, the difference between your power washing, pressure washing, and there is a spot for that. I explain that too. There's reasons to have that. And then there's hard washing, which, in my opinion, that there's not really a point to do hard washing, especially with the chemical remote system. Why would you? You want to apply chemical onto concrete, and then you want to switch over and surface clean. Well, just hit your remote bypass. So now that we covered all that, let's talk about remote systems. Okay, you have a few different remote systems. You got guys in the soft washing and cleaning industry using low pressure ball valves with, say, like a booster pump, a gas power, air diaphragm, 12 volt even, and they're just using usually it's a banjo ball valve, but there's other brands out there, and they hit a switch that talks to an interface, and it just turns the valve from water to SH, or it bypasses it so it's being directly fed, whatever it might be. It's a switch that remotely controls, your remote switches a ball valve that's a low pressure ball valve or medium pressure ball valve. I'm talking about like 300 psi maximum typically. And that's one way guys are doing it. And then there's two other ways guys are doing it that are using a remote system. Another way is I showed you the bypass kits before we jumped in the truck. So the other way guys are doing it is they're shutting off the little 1/4 inch line, the smaller line that goes into the bottom of the chemical injector. So the small one that I showed you with a 3-way ball valve. So they have a ball valve or a solenoid or something to cut that on or cut it off. Or they'll have a 3-way that directs it towards SH, or it'll direct it over to the water side. So instead of having like that little three-way like I got that's manual, that might be, you know, they'll have that same three-way valve or a variation of that, and it'll be on a remote. So that's been an awesome solution, and that's been a way that guys have done it for years and years and years, and it works. I mean, it works good, especially now that guys are coming out with way better systems. I saw one this week actually by Midwest washing equipment or something like that, and theirs is one of the nicest I've seen. Somebody else made that comment, and he actually makes his own system and has had several of the other ones, and I agree with him. I looked at it, and yeah, the guy's done it the right way. And there's another guy out there in Florida, and he makes a very nice one as well. Above and Beyond Pressure Washing, I think is his business page. I don't know if that his business page might be different. John Sicko's his name. He makes a really nice one too. I don't necessarily know if it's quite as advanced as the one from Midwest, but cost wise, man, it's a good price. It's price wise. If you're sensitive price wise, man, it's right there, and it's a good way to be able to chemically turn on and off your soap if you want to downstream and be a true soft washer. It's, you know, not have to walk back to your trailer. And then you have the only other option is flowpro.solutions. You can go there to their website there. I have one of their systems. That's the one that you saw. Something that I really had a big part in developing that system. I mean, that system means a lot to me, because you'll see on the website, it's like it says I planted the seed. And did I don't know, I guess so. I had a lot of conversations and really kind of was a little bit involved in the beginning stages of it, and then you know, some time went past, and the guy that developed it, a good friend of mine, he really did a nice job on it. And that's actually having the ability, like you see in my system, to remotely bypass. So you have a high pressure ball valve, and not just any high pressure ball valve. It's the same high pressure ball valve that's already on your system if you do have a bypass, or if you want to purchase a bypass from any vendor, including FlowPro, as they sell their own. If you want to purchase a bypass kit, you don't have to go get some special one. You literally buy the same one that everybody's always used, and that device that I showed you just clamps right on there, easy install, and you're off to the races. Hit a switch, and you remotely turn that ball valve, which is awesome because replacements are something you're familiar with if you have had those ball valves, because it's the same ones that you use on the end of your pressure washer wand, and it works. You know, you don't have to buy some actuated ball valve that when it goes bad you have to buy these special replacements, and it's a pain in the ass. That's how guys thought about it for years, and they tried to go that route. And I told everybody, you can go back and you can look. Over a year ago, I told people I want an actuated device to take the valve that we already have, and I want to turn that thing. That's all the more that needed to be done. I mean, you know, I thank God that, you know, Judd there like really listened to that and made it so us contractors now have that ability. So now that I kind of talked about that, and you can see my previous video of me showing the benefit to that is the flow. So let's back up now. Why do you want to choose one system over the other? Okay, well, if you have a low pressure system, like a, you know, booster pump and this and that, most likely you're already going to know about that kind of stuff. So I don't really want to touch on that because it's kind of a little bit different. Let's talk about downstreaming and the pressure washing. Let's say you have a small machine, let's say you have a 4 gallon per minute machine, or even me, like I have a 5.6, and I haven't done the testing of the flow difference on that. There is a little bit of difference for sure, but this is what I will say. Where are you located and what kind of surfaces are you cleaning really matters a little bit too, because okay, so when you use the injector and you keep the injector in play, but you just shut off the injector line with your remote, the little line that would be feeding your injector, when you use that method, it matters what injector you use, and it also matters what gallon per minute unit you have. If you have a 4 gallon per minute unit, are you going to get a huge advantage to the chemical bypass remote at FlowPro? You're going to get some advantage, yes. If you're running the standard injector, you're not going to see it nearly as much as if you are stepping that down to, say, a 1.8. And in my opinion, a lot of guys, once they really understand that you step your injector down, so that would mean your injector is actually an undersized injector, which in turn means the hole that goes through the middle that draws the chemical, that hole is smaller in the undersized injectors. So when you run a 4 or a 5.6 or a 6 or 8 or 10, if you run a smaller injector because you want to draw a stronger mix out of downstreaming so you're more efficient, well, then the smaller your injector, the more you're giving up when you're running through it. So for me, I'm in Michigan. I need to run a small injector. I would if I was down in Florida too. It doesn't matter, because I think you're still not going to pull, you're not really going to get anything over, you might get 1%, because that's a 10-to-1 mix. So say your injector's pulling at 10-to-1. Well, even if you get brand new SH that's 15%, on a good day when it's brand new, you're still 1.5%, okay? That's not really you're not gonna really see that even with an 8 gallon per minute, unless you're force feeding your injector, and that's getting into a whole different deal. But essentially, to me, most guys will graduate to where they're going to run a smaller orifice injector because they understand the benefits of it. Well, when you understand the benefits of that, then you need to understand the benefits of being able to flip that switch on a chemical remote bypass instead of a chemical system that's on a remote that's shutting off just your injector line. You want to bypass your injector because that gives you the ability to apply at a strong percentage and in turn rinse with full flow. That's what you're after. Okay, that's the best of both worlds. Then you can flip over, you can surface clean, this and that. That's kind of the gist of it, is you have two different systems. One will shut off your chemical injector line, but keep it in play and restrict your overall flow out of your wand or out of your ball valve or into your surface cleaner. And then you also have the chemical remote bypass system that's going to allow you to apply chemical and then rinse with full flow with no intrusion to what you're paying for. Personally, I paid big money and have a lot of time into making all the little pieces and everything that I have and dialing my surface cleaner in. And you can see in the previous video, when I'm going through my chemical injector, I'm literally giving up a gallon per minute. So I'm paying for an 8 gallon per minute machine while I'm only getting 7. I mean, that might not seem like a lot, but every hour that you're on the trigger, you're putting down 60 less gallons. Is that a big deal? I think 60 gallons of water is a big deal. But that's not the biggest deal. The biggest deal is the pressure. Okay, you can still maintain under that 150 to 250 psi when you turn your bypass on and it's going around the injector, but it's the amount of flow and the pressure that gives you the performance to reach higher heights, to rinse better, to have more coverage, have a wider pattern, and just give you those bigger water droplets to make everything work better, work faster, to rinse easier, to everything that you want. And if you run an 8 gallon per minute unit and you don't have a chemical bypass, I suggest you try one. And then I suggest you get a smaller orifice injector too. I mean, those two things are going to really help you a lot. And then you'll figure out pretty quickly that, okay, I need to make sure that this thing's on a remote so I can be efficient. So that's kind of, the ins and outs of how that industry views everything, or how they should. Guys talk about the differences, and they talk about downstreaming and soft washing, and they make all these claims, and they're out there hard washing, or they want to trash on soft washing. And I'm here to tell you that I think with a chemical remote system on an 8 gallon per minute unit, that's a badass house washing machine right there. If you have good SH and you have an undersized injector, I'd put it up against any booster pump setup, especially guys running the proportioner and stuff like that, because a lot of guys don't have the proportioner set up right, or they put so much soap through their line that there's always that residual soap in their line when they go to rinse, so they always have that issue with that. So there's advantages to it. I'm not saying a booster pump or air diaphragm or any of that's bad. They're awesome pieces of equipment. But when it comes to washing vinyl sided houses, and that's about 80% of the homes out there or more, when it comes to that, if you put an 8 gallon per minute machine, or say a 10 gallon per minute machine, with the flowpro.solutions remote bypass system, and it's the same washer with the same amount of time, and it's all apples to apples, I can almost guarantee you that guy with that pressure washer using the soft washing with the remote system is going to kick the other guy's ass every time. He's going to beat the booster pump, and he's going to beat the air diaphragm, and he's going to beat the gas pump, because they're just fast. They're fast, and they put out water differently. It's hard to explain, but they're super simple too. I mean, you can't really get any simpler than just downstreaming. You don't got to worry about priming stuff and all this and that. It's graduated to the point now where it's hitting a button, A or B, and you can go out there and you can embarrass guys that are pulling up next to you if you got a system like that, especially if you're out there running like 2 8 gallon per minute units. You're gonna go out there and you're gonna crush your competition. So that's what I'm doing here, and hopefully this video is really informative to you guys that are either new, or some of you guys that have been in a long time. And I'm sure you guys are gonna have reasons to disagree, but it's kind of hard, it's kind of difficult to disagree when you really give me a chance to talk to you in depth about it. I'm not trying to bullshit anybody here. I'm just trying to tell you like it is. So like I said, if there was a better way of doing it, I would just do it that way. So with that said, once again, this is Josh with 616clean.com, and we are at the shop here just getting some bleach. So we will see you guys on the next one.